10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 125. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so happy you are here. This is episode 125. We've got a lot of episodes in the book, and if you'd like to get PDFs to every single episode that we've ever done, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Our Patreon members get all kinds of discounts in our store. They get a bunch of cool stuff that we put out from time to time that we like to just drop on them for free. And they also get, as I mentioned, the worksheets to every single episode that we've ever done. So if you'd like to support us, it's only $3 a month. Head over to our website, 10minutejazzlesson.com, and click on one of the Patreon banners. And at that link, you can find out how to show your support with your hard-earned dollars every single month. And we thank you so much to everybody who's already signed up. We have over 160 members enjoying all the benefits of that subscription. So again, head over to 10minutejazzlesson.com, click on one of the Patreon links, and get your PDFs today. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different, but I'm super excited to bring this stuff to you. What I'm going to do today is give you a preview of our brand new book that's coming out on October 15th called The Chromatic Way, which is also the title of this episode. So let me tell you a little bit about what this book has in it, why I wrote it, and why I think that it's going to be really helpful to so many of you out there. So one thing that I really believe in when it comes to jazz education is that there are certain concepts that are really tough for us to learn unless we actually see them in action. And for that particular reason, I really like using etudes as a teaching tool, because what it does is it gives you an entire composition, basically, that is based around the concept I'm trying to convey, or teachers are trying to convey. And what it does is it lets you draw your own conclusions. It lets you kind of look at this on a micro and a macro level, and it allows you to take some of the concepts and put them into your own playing in a way that makes sense for you. So this particular book, which is probably pretty obvious to you at this point, is based around chromaticism, particularly bebop chromaticism. So what I've done is I've taken 10 classic jazz standards and I have written etudes over these. Most of them, if they're 32-bar tunes, have 2 choruses, and I've done a couple with shorter forms, like I did the tune Recordame, the great Joe Henderson tune, and we also did a B-flat concert blues, and those actually have 4 choruses each, so there's quite a bit of material in this book. And the way that I've structured these etudes is they're based completely off of chromaticism. So each and every basically phrase in the book has a ton of these chromatic devices that we like to use in bebop. So, things like encasement, things like neighbor tones, things like approach tones, all these different types of devices that are very commonly used in bebop have been used to write all 10 of these etudes. And it really snakes in and out of the changes using that classic bebop sound. So what I've done today, as far as your PDF exercise, is I've pulled 8 measures out of my etude over rhythm changes, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the devices that I'm using in this particular section of the etude. So this is the last A section of the first chorus of the etude in the book, The Chromatic Way, over rhythm changes. So let me start by playing it for you, and then we're going to point out some of the devices that I use that are some of the devices that we use in the entire book. So check it out. Here we go. right, so hopefully you could hear some of the chromaticism that was in there, but if you have your PDF in front of you, let's check it out together. So the first 4 measures of this excerpt are heavily based on lower neighbor tones. What you'll notice is that I'm playing a lot of chord tones and then using the note that's chromatically below those chord tones as a neighbor tone. And these are really, really commonly used in triplets. So that's exactly what I have done with this little 4-bar section. Then in the second 4-bar section, you'll notice that the 5th and 6th bar of the excerpt, they don't have very much chromaticism in them at all. And let me explain this for a second, because I just got through saying that these etudes were all based over chromaticism. But the thing about chromaticism is it has to be balanced out with some diatonicism or some arpeggiation or something like that. So what I tend to do is if I write a phrase that is like heavily, heavily chromatic, you'll notice that either the beginning of the next phrase or the end of that particular phrase, I'll do something like a long arpeggio or a diatonic line, because you have to have that balance. And these etudes, to be honest with you, they aren't that well balanced, because what I'm really trying to do is fit and pack as much chromaticism as I possibly can in there. But you'll notice, as in measures 5 and 6 in this etude, not very much chromaticism. It's an arpeggio and then some chord tones over the second bar. But then in the 7th and 8th bar of the exercise, I go right back to the chromaticism and actually do kind of a big chromatic scale through this measure, going up and then down. And then that's followed by an encasement of the third in the measure after that. So you can see, just in these 8 bars alone, there's a ton of material that you can pick up from this. And that's one of the main benefits that you're going to get out of this book, I think, is that you can pluck a ton of vocabulary out of these etudes. Just so much material, it's not even funny. All right, so let's listen to it again with that PDF in front of you so that you know exactly what I'm doing, and now you can listen to it with new ears. So there it is, a bunch of the different devices that I'm using in this book. So now that you've heard a little bit of it, we've talked about it together, let me tell you about the rest of the book. So the first thing I'd like to tell you about is actually the track list. And this track list, like I said, is some of the greatest jazz standards in the history of this music. So we've got All of Me, Autumn Leaves, B-flat Concert Blues, Confirmation, Green Dolphin Street, Have You Met Miss Jones, Record-a-May, Rhythm Changes, There Will Never Be Another You, and You Stepped Out of a Dream. Those are the 10 tunes that I chose to use because I think that they are 10 of the greatest jazz standards that have ever been written. Now, you'll also notice that I was playing with a play-along, right? This is going to be maybe the coolest part of the whole book, is that I'm including a play-along for each one of the tracks in the book, but the play-alongs come in 4 different tempos. So each etude will have a play-along that accompanies it, and it will be done at 90 BPM, 120, 160 and 200. So you'll really be able to make progress on all of these etudes and work them through the tempos. Then if you can play it at 200, you're doing pretty darn good at that point. Now the play-alongs are all super high quality MP3 files, so you'll be able to put them on your phone, listen to them on your computer, really wherever you want to listen to them, they'll be available for that. So here's what I'm going to do for our Patreon members. I am going to upload the entire Rhythm Changes etude so that you can get a sneak peek at this book. You can have the entire etude, and then I'm also going to give the Patreon members a big discount on this book for really being there for us, supporting the show, and just generally being really good people. So Patreon members, make sure you go and grab that. For everybody else, I'm going to give you this PDF for free. You don't have to be a Patreon member. You can can just go to the website, click on the show, and you'll find the PDF on the website of just the 8 bars that we went over today. But really, I had so much fun writing this book because this is stuff that I'm really passionate about, and I honestly believe that this is really going to help folks out. So this is going to be available on October 15th. We are going to have a pre-order for it, so keep your ears open to episodes coming out in the next couple of weeks, and I'll let you know where you can pre-order the book and all the final details of everything. Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. Remember, if you want to get your hands on that entire Rhythm Changes etude, go over and sign up to be a patron today. And this week, I'm going to leave you with a recording of that entire etude so you can hear a little bit more of what this book is going to be all about. All right, thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you next week. Have a good one. Bye.